Hello everyone, welcome back to the series of Pandas. In this particular tutorial video, we will specifically discuss on creating histogram. So we will try to create histogram using Python Pandas. So in order to create a histogram in Python Pandas, we will use the hist function. So the hist function is used to create histogram in Python Pandas. So this is the basic syntax of the hist function. We will use the data frame object df along with the dot notation and hist function. These are the following parameters that are accepted by the hist function: column, by, grid and beans. As we all know what is column and what is by, grid basically stands whether we want to present our data in grid format or not. Your beans are basically the class interval. We will discuss about this in detail in our PyPlot series. Now let us try to create a histogram in Python Pandas using a data frame. In order to create a data frame, the basic model that we need to import is Pandas. In order to create a histogram and to display the histogram in a graphical format, we will use the Matplotlib library. Matplotlib library is basically MATLAB library. So in order to use this library in Python, we will use its module pyplot. Now we will create a data frame object, and what we will do is we will import our dataset from a CSV file. This is the CSV file that we are going to use. This CSV file is basically the crime dataset. So this CSV file contains the dataset of crime date time, the address where the crime were occurred, the district code where the crime were occurred, the bit code, grid code, crime description, the NCIC code, that is National Crime Information Center code, and the location. So these are the basic columns that are in the dataset, and this dataset, as you can see, contains 7585 rows. So this is a pretty good dataset in order to analyze. Now let us try to import this dataset in our Python Pandas. In order to import this dataset, the function that we are using is read_csv. One thing that has to be noted: this is not an Excel file. This is a CSV file. CSV file basically stands for comma separated values. That means each and every values are stored in the file with the help of a comma, which is separating those each and every columns. If we look into the first column, that is crime date and time, is being separated from address using a comma, and address is being separated from district using a comma. We are able to see this CSV file in tabular format because we have opened this file in MS Excel. But if you open the CSV files in a text editor, you will be able to see those commas which are separating these values. Now let us import this file. The name of the file is crime.csv. Here I am using this relative path to import this file. Now in case if your file is not stored in this directory and your file is stored in some sort of other directory, then you have to use the absolute path. This is what the absolute path would look like. Since my file is in this particular directory, I won't be using the absolute path. I will be using the relative path. In order to read the CSV file, we also need to use the engines. Mainly there are two types of engines that are used to read CSV file, that is C and Python engine. C is comparatively faster than Python, but Python engine is much more powerful than C. So here we will use the Python engine. Now let us try to print this dataset. Now let us execute this code. As you can see, we are able to get the dataset printed. So this is the total number of rows. Since this dataset is very huge, print function has not displayed all the rows, as well as it has skipped some sort of columns. But all the data values are being imported successfully. So our first step is complete, that is we have successfully imported the dataset using the read_csv function. So the next step is to get the histogram from this dataset. So in order to get the histogram, or in order to create a histogram from this dataset, we will use the hist function. Now let's say I have a problem statement. I need to understand which district code has committed the maximum number of crime. Now this problem statement can be easily solved by plotting the district in the histogram. So the column that will be used is district. So this is the column that will pass in hist function. Okay, let us try to execute this code. So as soon as I execute this code, we can see we don't get the histogram printed. So we are not able to get the graphical format to represent this data. So in order to get the graphical format to represent this data, what we need to do is we need to use the Matplotlib library. So we have already imported the Matplotlib library. Here the alias name is plot. We will use this alias name to display the histogram. In order to display the histogram, we will use the function show. Now let us try to execute this code once again. So as soon as I execute this code, you can see that we got our histogram created. So this way we can create our histogram in Python Pandas. So from this histogram we can easily predict the district code with 3 has the highest crime rate. So this was all about the hist function. We will discuss about the other function applications in the next video.